Hello everyone and welcome to the TBL versus APA Week 1 of the Pokemon Grand Prix. Now I am going to be a little bit quiet because I am recording this late at night on July 3rd. Actually, by the time I'm done recording, it will be July 4th, so happy July 4th to anybody who's celebrating. Obviously, this video gets posted a couple days after that, but I'm going away with family tomorrow, so I need to get this video done. So, right off the bat, we are going to lead off. The way this is going to work, and I'm just going to talk over this for a little bit at the beginning, and hopefully I'll get into a rhythm of it. But the way this is going to work is that we are going to be showcasing all 7 games that are going to be played each week, and hopefully the layout describes who ends up winning and losing. Now, I will be speeding up a good portion, as you're seeing now, of the games as they're being played, especially the parts that aren't that unique, I guess is the best way to put it. They're important. Every turn of a Pokemon is important, but as you can see right here, there's a lot of stuff going on, but not a lot happens, and I'll slow it down back to normal speed so that you guys can get an understanding of what's actually the turns I think are very important. Now, this may be the greatest turn of Pokemon I've ever watched, so I'm not going to talk about something else right now. I'm going to talk about what's actually happening on screen, and that is that this Mega Scizor is going to Mega Evolve as the Sylveon comes in to check it. The Scizor was tempted by the Reuniclus to go for a U-turn, which activates this Sylveon's eject button, allowing the Sylveon to switch out first. Now, the Sylveon switches out into the Magneton, which has the Magnet Pull, which negates U-turn's ability to allow Mega Scizor to switch out, and then the Magneton traps it. I think it specs based on the damage it ends up doing later on in this game, and you can see that it just straight takes out the Mega Scizor, which that was the APA's side of the battle. The TBL, this is Playmaker on my side, and he is, I mean, that just was amazing, and honestly, that tech blew my mind when I watched it in post. So, at this point, a lot of just calm minding and setting up is happening on both sides of the field, but both teams are slowly trying to break through their opponent, forcing their opponent to make some moves. The Toxic Spikes that were set up first turn that you saw, I will always show you the first turn of a battle because I think the first turn is incredibly important. The Toxic Spikes will continue to play a role in this battle as we continue forward, but we do see this Crocoon setting up, the Reuniclus setting up, but the Suicune does end up winning that 1v1 as the Reuniclus is going to go down, and at this point it really comes down to who can figure out a way to break through their opponent, and both teams are having some luck getting through, but nobody's really making a ton of headway until Silver at some point just continuously chips down at Playmaker's team, allowing himself to get into a more advantageous position, taking out some of the big mons and the big threats on Playmaker's team, and eventually putting himself up 4-2. As we're going to end up seeing right at the end here. This Suicune sets up on this Sylveon before finally the switch out to Magneton comes. And this turn here, now that we get to this point, we see the Suicune. It's fully set up, it's in on the Magneton, but it's asleep, so we're just waiting for a Sleep Talk to go through, as the Magneton is going to go for a Thunderbolt at this point, and the Suicune, as you're going to see, is going to wake up, but go for the rest, just to make sure that it's healthy enough to take a hit from the Magneton. Moving forward, I believe it's at +3 or +4 right now, and so he's got some real bulk to take those Thunderbolts, but we do see the Magneton click that Thunderbolt, and critical hit KO the Suicune all the way through all those boosts, ignores all of it, probably specs like I said before, and it is going to just straight take out the Suicune, the last mon being the Umbreon, and we do see the Mega Lopunny come out. There's a few more turns here, and I do want to show every turn of every battle, but I will speed them up as you guys can see, just for you guys to have some semblance of a quick-ish 7 battles that you're going to watch in a rapid-fire succession. So Lopunny is going to take out the Umbreon, and the APA is going to take a 2-0 victory. Oh, excuse me, a 4-0 victory over the Playmaker, or in the TBL. So we are now down one game to 0, and they got a +4. So the differentials are in the middle and the games are on the sides. So hopefully that's pretty clear to you guys. I might change that for next week, but this week I just don't have time to make any more intense graphics, although I do want to make this a little bit more graphically pleasing. So hopefully moving forward there is some upward and growth and momentum. So TBL's second game this here is going to be, it's, okay, I need to pause the video at this point. The TBL and the APA videos were recorded by different people, and so I grabbed what I had. Some of them are from the TBL's perspective, some of them are from the APA's perspective. So this one, the TBL, is the team on the top. So just so you guys are aware, the TBL is the team on top in this second video. Alright, we're going to start up the video now. We're going to start into game 2, and we are going to see Pokemon Trainer Marco, the challenger. That is the TBL represented, and the APA is on bottom. So just be aware of that as you're watching this battle. And I will try to tell you which side the TBL is on. Again, it was this week, I really didn't have time to get my players to send me their side of the battle, but I will ask them to do that in the future. And hopefully all goes well and you guys enjoy this format. Tell me, please, I don't ask for comments very often, but please leave comments telling me what you like and what you don't. I know this is going to feel rushed, and that's probably because it is rushed. I need to get it out. I need to get it done tonight so that I can upload it tomorrow, because I'm leaving at 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm not coming back until after the upload date. So there's nothing I can do about it. But anyway, here we are checking out this game 2. The TBL already down 1 game to 0. First to 4 games wins the series, but you do have to play all 7 games regardless of who wins the series and at what point they win it. So just a heads up there on that. We will be seeing all 7 games no matter what actually happens during the course of the series. That is true up until at least the playoffs. I assume in playoffs it's not going to matter too much, but it might. Who knows? But we're going to slow it down right about here. A lot's been going on. A lot of Mons have gotten chipped down, but there's been a lot of preservation of Mons just to keep them alive in the back, and we are going to see finally, after all this time and all this rambling that I've been doing, the first kill of the battle is actually going to go right here to the APA after this turn, where the Crocodile is going to be able to click knockoff here. Excuse me, no, sorry, the Necrozma is actually just going to straight click Heat Wave, take out the Crocodile, and be able to collect that first kill of the game. And so there was a lot of content and a lot of time leading into that, but now this is like a already set up Necrozma. We've seen a lot of setup already in this series. The last battle just had a whole bunch between Raichus and Suicune, but this one, the Necrozma sets up. The Cinccino, as you can see, does not even 50% with a knockoff, and that's with an item. But the Photon Geyser at, I believe, +2 is just going to obliterate Cinccino, and that thing is going to get absolutely bodied. Goodbye. No chance. And Necrozma is going to be sitting here, but it is going to be scared out by a Darmanitan at this point, and it is going to switch out, and we will speed up the video once again as this turn resolves itself. Just so that you guys are aware, the times I speed up are, again, they're times that Pokemon are chipping each other down. They're times that there are some kills going on during those sequences, but mostly it's moments in which the battle isn't necessarily making progress, I guess I should say. It's people putting themselves in the position to win the game, and I'll show you guys the really big turns that really matter, allowing somebody to win the game. And so we do see at this point that I'm going to speed up the video because, again, as you can watch, if you are paying attention, you'll see the way that these turns are playing out. They're just people putting themselves in situations to be successful instead of the turns where they're actually showcasing their success. Now, Celesteela here is going to be staying in on a Charizard X, and that is actually pretty ridiculous. And the Charizard X switches out, which makes me feel like that he does not have a Fire-type move on that Charizard. But the Landers goes for the amazing Gravity Tech and is going to be able to slowly, hopefully, hit this Celesteela and whittle it down. I'm obviously rooting for the Celesteela guy, since that's my side of the battle. But you do see that Earthquake do a ton of damage to the Celesteela. But it does have Leech Seed, it does have Protect, and it can stall out turns of the Gravity. And you do actually see the amazing read there, the Leech Seed onto the Charizard on the switch-in, but the Charizard is going to Dragon Dance. It is Leech Seeded, but the Piloswine is going to be able to take that Charizard out. So the setup not really mattering there in terms of late game success, and we are not going to stop this until we get to the end game. I'll generally show about one point in the middle where I think it's important and things are happening, and then I'll show the end game and who actually ends up winning. Now this is huge, moving into the later stages of this game. I believe at this moment in time the score is 3-4 with the TBL up Amon, and gets his Stealth Rocks up right there. But the Photon Geyser hits the Latios and kills it, and then the Darmanitan is going to be forced to switch into Rocks and take Flare Blitz recoil, putting it in range where Rocks will kill it on switch, and that's really significant. Now, at this point, the knockoff has already been hit onto the Eviolite, but the Piloswine lives on 1 on that knockoff, allowing it to get a huge Earthquake off, and then fire off an Ice Shard. That is almost 50% to this Persian that it should not have had, potentially, depending on the rolls that went that way. So TBL managing to get tons of damage there. The APA obviously on the edge of their seat, but then the Darmanitan obviously is already dead to Stealth Rock, so dies on re-entry. And it will come down to Celesteela versus the World here. And the Alolan Persian seems to be choiced, honestly. I don't 100% know all of the sets of all of the teams and players, but the Alolan Persian seems to be choiced. It is going to keep on clicking knockoff, or it just thinks knockoff is its best play. It does a decent chunk to the Celesteela, which goes for the Air Slash and picks up the critical hit. I don't know if it mattered, but that is how it goes down. And then finally, it is just Celesteela and Necrozma at this point. And we actually see the Necrozma come out, and it is going to try to click Heat Wave on that Celesteela as it does come out. Now, I am not a post-com guy, so I know what happens. And the Celesteela avoids the attack, goes for the Air Slash, does not miss itself, and in fact hits this Celesteela pretty hard, bring it down to potentially crit range. And so he's going to safely Moonlight, and the APA are going to be able to collect this game 1-0 here in Game 2, as the Celesteela is not going to find its way to breaking this Necrozma before it does land a Heat Wave. But honestly, I like that my guys are playing it out. Play to every out you have, and if one of those outs is that your opponent misses like 25 Heat Waves in a row, then play to it. You never know. Pokemon is a crazy game. But we are going to jump into Game 3 here. Once again, the TBL is going to be on the top side of your screen. The Heatran, Crobat, and Leafeon team is going to be the TBL side. So once again, the APA player is just the one whose battle I grabbed from the recording, as opposed to the TBL player. And this is quite a battle, in my opinion. I do believe that that 1-0 this past game was an incredibly played battle, but this battle is, well, it's something. Let's just say it's something. So, first off, 360 No Soap, that nickname, fantastic. I don't know if everyone else appreciates it, but I'm happy about it. As the Rotom does come in, and the Greninja goes for the spikes, and this is the start of what amounts to just a ridiculous string of the things that occur in this battle. Now, the Leafeon has the Wish here, and is going to be able to pass that into the Heatran, but the Arcanine goes for the close combat while the Heatran eats its Choppleberry and gets the Wish back. So it's actually at full and gets the Rocks up. So Spikes on one side, Rocks on the other. Heatran is going to be able to survive a Surf, but there's now 2 layers of Spikes on the other side of the field. Rotom comes in, and it just goes for a Hydro Pump, and we are just seeing these two players once again trying to get themselves into position where they can take each other's Mons out. And down goes the Raikou, as the first kill of the game is claimed by the TBL here. And then very quickly after that, the Mega Gallade, as we're going to see, it's going to Mega Evolve. It's going to go for a close combat. It's going to take out the Heatran. And I personally believe that Heatran was a pretty big stopgap for this team, and it going down is fairly significant in what this team's capabilities are moving forward. And you're going to see the way that plays out moving forward. But I did just want to slow that down, give myself a chance to at least talk about it, and go on with the game. Now, Crobat comes in, and now there's 2 layers of Spikes and Rocks. The Greninja goes down. The Rotom still hasn't defogged. The Mew hasn't shown anything yet. And oh wait, the Crobat defogged. Okay, so there's just Rocks right now. There's no Spikes anymore. And the Rotom was able to kill the Greninja. And the Mew is going to be sitting in, but the Gallade goes for Throat Chop, and the Mew goes for the Genesis Supernova. I have no idea if I'm going to be pinged for this in terms of copyright claims. Hopefully not, because I sped it up and I didn't play the music for the whole thing. I do for the end here because that critical hit is a pretty significant deal. I don't know if it ended up mattering in terms of killing the Gallade, but it does mean that the Mew is safe to continue doing what it does, which is to say soft-boiled and psychic in psychic terrain, and take out the Steelix, and switching out the Mew there. I don't know if I agree with that play. I don't think it had that much value later on in the game, and it might have been better to get the safe switch in later. But I sped this up dramatically because this is quite a sequence. There's a lot that this Arcanine manages to do here at the end of the game, and it is just Arcanine being able to switch in and take hits, and it's wild. But anyway, for now, the Arcanine Miltank core able to slowly whittle down the TBL team until it's just Arcanine versus Crobat, and it's Morning Sun, it's Roost, it's Brave Bird, it's Flare Blitz, there's Recoil, there's Roosting, there's all sorts of shenanigans going on. It is quite a sequence, and again, like I said, quite a game, and it is 1-1 right now. These are the only Pokemon left on the field, and you guys are just thankful that you're not watching this in regular speed, because this, just see how many turns this is? This is why I decided to speed up these games, just because I don't think we need to see every turn here and hear the music for every turn here. You guys get the idea. But I will slow it down right about here as the game is wearing towards its end, and you can see that the Crobat could go for a Roost here potentially, but it decides to go for the Brave Bird onto the Arcanine here, as the Arcanine is going to be able to go for the Flare Blitz, and finally somebody breaks through and takes the other one out, as the Flare Blitz takes out the Crobat here, and the TBL falls to 0-3. But once again, another 1-0 loss. Fantastic game. Now, in Game 4, here we have the TBL taking on a mirror match Sand team with Mega Pinsir, which is kind of wild to me that this game happened the way that it did, or the matchup happened the way that it did, I should say. Both these players are playing Excadrill, Sand with Mega Pinsir teams. One has Hippowdon, one has Tyranitar. The TBL this time is on the bottom, so the closer one, the Slowbro, is the TBL team, so just a heads up there. But the as I am customarily doing, I show you guys the full first turn, and we do see the Toxic from the Slowbro coming out into the Hippowdon that ends up being the Jolteon. So no confirmation about Quick Feet or Volt Absorb in this particular moment, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal either way. If it is Quick Feet with, like, I don't know, Specs, and he got the Toxic off on this thing, well then, wow, that's just some crazy tech. But we'll fast forward at this point, as the Jolteon is going to switch out into the Hippowdon, and both teams are just going to set up their Stealth Rocks here before the Hippowdon is going to be able to Toxic the Slowbro. And moving forward, we're just going to see these two players really just punching each other in the gut, trying to set Sand up, trying to keep their Sand Setters alive, and, you know, lots of Regenerator. I mean, these teams are remarkably similar in scope and everything, but alright, I want to talk about this. This is a crazy play, because the Zapdos comes in, it takes Stealth Rocks, the Tangrowth reads the Zapdos coming in, goes for the Rock Slide, the Zapdos eats a Charty Berry, and takes 14 damage! It takes 14 from that. That is a super effective Rock Slide. I know it had a Charty Berry, I know everything, but still, it took 14 from a Rock Slide. Wow, that's crazy. Alright, carrying on, continuing on in the game. The Heat Wave comes out and does hit the Jolteon, which actually shows the Heal Bell and is very likely Volt Absorb as a result of that. And you are going to continue to see these two just wear each other down. The Heal Bell being a very big part of the strategy of the APA Sand team. The TBL Sand team obviously not having the Heal Bell right now, but the Zapdos isn't toxic, so it isn't too big of a deal. But it is going to slowly wear down this Hippowdon and 1v1 that. Out comes the Magmortar, which takes the Heat Wave and actually goes for a Fire Blast, slamming into the Zapdos hard, and the Zapdos is going to be forced to switch out. The Magmortar at this point goes for a Thunderbolt, hits the Tyranitar, paralyzes the Tyranitar, then shows the low kick after this, which is a crazy tech, this mixed Magmortar, and it actually critical hits the Tyranitar. I don't think it mattered, but I don't know the investments or anything on either of these two Pokemon, so who knows, maybe it did matter, and if it did, that's a big deal, because that Sand is now done being set by this team. However, the other team will set up sand for the Excadrill as well. Now the the Magmortar then shows Mach Punch as well, which is crazy to me. That it is a Mach Punch low kick Magmortar, because I just never seen anything like that. But there you have it. It's gone now, but Hitmonchan's going to come in and Rapid Spin away the Stealth Rocks, but the Mega Pinsir now gets in for free and is going to be able to Quick Attack and just take out the Hitmonchan and the Zapdos, and the Excadrill is going to be forced to try to take out the Mega Pinsir, but he Swords Dances, predicting a switch. The Mega Pinsir stays in, and so now it's Mega Pinsir versus Mega Pinsir. Whose Mega Pinsir is faster? It's the opposing Mega Pinsir, and it's going to Quick Attack and bring this thing down to the range where it cannot finish the rest of these kills. And so we are going to see it trying desperately and valiantly to finish this game up and close out the gap. And it ends up getting 3 kills right here before the Jolteon is the thing that is going to be able to survive the Quick Attack. And it is a 1-0 victory. That's how close it was to finishing off the Jolteon, as the Sand would have potentially taken it out, but the Thunderbolt's going to do the same job. And down goes the Pinsir. And the APA actually ends up with a 4-game sweep right off the bat. But we are going to jump into game number 5 here, excuse me, which is Heff Nasty versus Leo, coach in the APA, 6-foot hacks, as some of you may know him. Now we are down 4-0 in games, but it's only -8 differential, which is actually pretty remarkable. We're averaging a -2 in games. We've had 3 straight that was a 2-0, I think, but we've had many 1-0 victories, and so hopefully that does continue to bode well for the TBL. Even though the losses were falling not our way, we were able to push the differentials back quite well, and we are going to be able to continue on this season. I can't remember if it is a -7 or -8 differential at this point, but it'll be correct on the screen. I said -8, but it might be -7. Either way, this battle's incredibly fast. It's incredibly quick for just a number of reasons, but just because these teams were just punch for punch, blow for blow, hitting each other as hard as they possibly could. So here we're going to see first blood get drawn, and it is going to be you see the Coco eat a Shuka Berry there, and then you see the Diancie going for another Earth Power and taking out the Coco. So the Coco eats the Shuka Berry, and the Diancie hits the Coco. But then, following that, we do actually see the Nidoking switch in, predicting the Diancie to switch out at this point as well. The Nidoking is going to go for an Ice Beam here. It actually does go for an Earth Power. But the Diancie, being bulky as it is, survives on 1 HP and goes for its own Earth Power and shows the Shuka on the Nidoking as well. So we see Coco and Shuka Nidoking back to back. This Diancie pushing these items out of the way as best it possibly can, but it will not be able to break through this Nidoking, unfortunately, for the TBL. And there's the Ice Beam from the Nidoking that I thought happened a turn before, and does take out the Diancie. Alright, we're going to speed up a little bit again, as the game just continues to progress at rapid fire pace. The Gallade gets the knockoff on the Colbur Berry, so we see more berries. Berry Farmer Leo strikes again as the Eruption comes out from the Typhlosion, which isn't going to be able to take out the Alolan Raichu after the HP loss, but the Bullet Punch comes out, the Rocky Helmet, the Thunderbolt, the Bullet Punch, and the Raichu goes down. That leaves Seismitoad here to deal with this Landorus, and Landorus is going to be able to Supersonic Sky Strike just to make sure he gets that kill, and the Kyurem is going to come out, and it's going to take a little bit of damage from an Earthquake. It's going to sub up. Another Earthquake. The Landorus is going to go down here, but Heff has plenty of answers, and the Gallade is going to be the one that he chooses to go with, bringing that in and going for the close combat, able to take out the Kyurem Black right there. And thankfully for the TBL, Heff manages to get a win and is going to be our first victor this season. So next up we have Alec and his Rain team taking on Jacob from the APA. So once again, TBL is going to be up top in this one, not down below. So just bear that in mind. The Coco, that is the TBL's team, and Josh, that is the APA in the Clefable. This is a Rain team with Gothitelle support on it. And again, everyone on the TBL side was able to pick their own team. They didn't really draft. They just picked the ones that they liked the best, or 9 mons they thought would work well together that fit the point requirements. So the TBL was able to sort of make whatever team they wanted. And so this one is a Koko, Ferrothorn, Rain team with GoldoaDragon support, as we are going to see the Koko Ferrothorn here right at the beginning of this game. And the Pelipper is the option for Rain, as it's going to try to kill the Decidueye poorly. But the Clefable is actually going to be able to switch out on the Gothitelle, which is kind of crazy to me that he had prepared for that. I mean, not crazy that he prepared for it, but the way that that interaction worked out. Anyway, it's going too fast for me to remember if he had Shed Shell or not, but I assume that's the case, or the Gothitelle just for some reason wasn't Shadow Tag, which would be wrong. However, it was on the Ferrothorn, and the Ferrothorn is going to whittle down this Decidueye. Now, at this moment in time, it is still 6-6, mind you. We have not had anyone kill anyone yet. And the Ferrothorn's back to full, and the Decidueye is pretty close to full. The Decidueye is also at plus a whole bunch. I don't even know what anymore. But the Ferrothorn does have the knockoff, is always able to break a substitute, and you do see that the Decidueye does a ton of damage with that Spirit Shackle, and is going to be able to take out the Ferrothorn here. And then the Kingdra leaves the Decidueye on 1 HP. Pelipper comes in, gets the kill, but sets up the Rain for the Mega Swampert, but the Kingdra's dead because the Decidueye lived on 1, and so now the Swampert is the only Rain Sweeper. And here I will slow it down again. Finally, I know that was a very long speed up with most of the battle in it, but it's still 4-5, and we do actually see the Freeze Dry Mamoswine hitting the Pelipper. Freeze Dry incredibly valuable against this team since it super affects the Pelipper, the Kingdra, and the Swampert all 4 times. So if you have Freeze Dry and you're facing a Rain team, that's probably a good thing to bring and good thing to expect if you are the Rain team. Now the Koko comes out and is going to be able to Grass Knot the Mamoswine, but that is going to just allow in the Clefable. Swampert is the next thing that comes in and is going to be able to stare down the Celesteela and hopefully wall it for the TBL's sake, but the Celesteela, as you're going to see, is going to be able to take that out. With the Pelipper gone, the Swampert did not have Rain support, so it was going to have to work under its own merits. The Thunder from the Koko not going to be able to kill the Celesteela, and that is going to leave the Celesteela versus the Gothitelle. Gothitelle versus the World rarely goes well for the Gothitelle. It does live 1 Heavy Slam, it gets off a Psychic, and it does like 26 damage, and that's not going to be enough for the 48 HP, so Gothitelle's going to go down, and the Celesteela is going to pick up yet another victory for the APA. That will leave only 1 battle, and that battle will be my battle versus Die It Tight Jason, a member of the APA this season. And so we are going to jump into that battle right now, and we are going to see this battle. It goes kind of sideways for me, kind of quickly. Jason actually makes a couple of amazing plays right at the beginning. So he's got the Shaman in against the Rotom. I think he's not going to stay in since the Overheat's too real. I don't know what he's going to go into, whether it's the Zeraora or something else, so I just decided to Toxic right here. And he actually goes into the Mega Altaria, which has the Natural Cure before it Mega Evolves. So he's actually going to go into that, get the Toxic on it, and then get the Natural Cure off, so he doesn't have to worry about the Toxic. Then, when I decide, okay, well, he went Mega Altaria, it's not Mega Evolves, it's just regular Altaria, but when he goes Altaria, okay, I'll just Volt Switch off that. When he Mega Evolves next turn, he actually doubles into the Zeraora and catches me going for a Volt Switch. So very, very well played at the beginning of the game here, and I will now do the same treatment that I've done to everybody else and speed this along. Since the middle of this game, he actually goes for the Toxic on the Muck, which is super annoying. I forgot that Salazzle could do that, but super annoying, and Muck is going to have to deal with that Toxic wearing it down since this is not a berry, but it ends up not mattering because I get killed by a Plasma Fist. But Jirachi comes in, does Jirachi things, gets 2 flinches on the Zeraora, and then switches out as the Registeel comes in and Toxics the Rotom. Rotom is going to overheat here and hit the Altaria. Not going to risk a Volt Switch here. Just going to go out into my Mega Diancie, but since the Registeel comes in, I will just switch into my Scarfed Jirachi with Stealth Rock, which then goes for that and gets those set up for now. Rotom does come back in and overheat on the Altaria again, which is still not Mega Evolved yet, but he is going to Mega at this point. I'm actually going to Volt Switch off of that and get into my Mega Diancie on his Defog. and I am now going to have a pretty free ability to set up a Calm Mind, forgetting, or a Rock Polish, excuse me, forgetting that this Registeel just completely walls me. So I just go into my Rotom at this point, as he actually goes into his Suicune, and I get the Toxic off on that. I love that. That's great for me, as long as he isn't Crocoon. And we're going to see him immediately rest off of a Volt Switch that did about 50%, which is pretty nice. And the Noivern is going to be able to go to get its way back to the Rotom, which goes for the Overheat and gets the Registeel down low. Registeel is going to be forced to switch out into the Shaman. I thought about predicting that. I didn't, so the Mamoswine is just going to Earthquake into a Shaman. And then the Noivern now Air Slashes. Doesn't quite get the kill here as the Leech Seed comes out, but I am going to pick up the kill the following turn and then switch out into my Jirachi on the Seismic Toss as he goes out into his Mega Altaria at this point, and I do go out into my Mega Diancie, go for the Rock Polish, take a Hyper Voice, go for the Moonblast, and this is, I take this out. I'm at +2. I figure I'm in the clear. I basically win this game since I outspeed the Zeraora. Everything dies to one hit from this Mega Diancie. I've got the Rock Polish off. I feel pretty good about it. I go for the Earth Power, and he is Shuka Registeel. And despite clicking Overheat before, he has enough bulk to just barely take that Earth Power and get the Iron Head off and take out my Diancie. And I cannot get the sweep here with that, unfortunately. And despite that, I think I still have the Pokemon advantage at this point, and I do still have the personnel advantage for sure. And so I am going to be able to go into my Mamoswine here and go for the Z move of my own. This is my tech. This battle was the last battle of the week. We both knew it didn't matter for like who won the series. It just mattered for pride. So I went for Z Hail on my Mamoswine. It actually had a pretty good matchup against his team, all things considered. What I needed was that Suicune to be a little bit damaged, and it wasn't, so we are going to have to deal with that moving forward. But he does go for the Iron Head, not expecting a Z-Hail at all, does a little under 50, or just about 50%, which is fine, and then the Hail is actually going to take out the Registeel here, which is going to bring us down to, we are still up in Pokemon, I believe, or it is 2-2, oh no, it's 3-2 now, we were tied 3-3, now it is 3-2, and he is resting and rest talking, and we are just going to have to hit one flinch here, right here, because the Earthquake's not going to quite take him out, so I go for the Icicle Crash, go for the flinch. I've got 30% chance to do it, and I just need him to flinch, and then I'll Earthquake, and he'll be dead. But he wakes up, and he rests again, so alright, I got 2 more turns. We're just going to keep on fighting for this, and we are just going to keep on hopefully getting him into that situation where I can get that flinch. He also is looking for a Sleep Talk into Scald as well. That is something that he can certainly get and will kill me. Sleep Talks into Rest again. Hail ends, but which was really useful chip, but he is going to Sleep Talk into Rest twice there. Fascinatingly has done that 3 times. The Calm Mind has been the other one, and out comes the Icicle Crash. It's going to try to flinch this Suicune just one time, just one flinch. He wakes up, he rests. So unfortunately, that's 2 chances. Alright, so he's gotten 4 turns of bad Sleep Talks, and I've gotten 2 non-flinches. What's more likely? I don't know. Both of those are 30% chance to get what we want, approximately, so, you know, that is the case. But I actually decided I'm just going to set up the Hail again here, hoping he gets a bad Sleep Talk, because I kind of need that chip on him, honestly. It does actually really matter to negate his leftovers completely, and so we are going to be able to get the Hail up here. He's going to Sleep Talk. It offsets my turns, which is actually something I didn't really account for, but he ends up getting the Scald anyway on this turn, and that does just straight take me out, so I don't have to worry too much about that. But we are going to go out into my Noivern at this point, which has the Air Slash, so we're going to continue trying to flinch down this Suicune, and he gets that turn, he flinches. He doesn't flinch, and then he gets the Scald Burn. I have not gotten a single 30% flinch. He clicks Scald 1 time, it doesn't kill me, he immediately gets the burn, which is 30%. Of course he does. So, anyway, that's really unfortunate because it changes the timer of when this Noivern can, like, die to this Suicune. I go for an Air Slash, need a flinch here, just one flinch, nothing. Nothing! 0 flinches. So that's really unfortunate. We're just going to start this cycle all over, and we are going to go for another Air Slash. We actually get the flinch on the Sleep Talk there, which doesn't matter. Why didn't I get it the turn before? And he's going to Sleep Talk right here. He's going to Sleep Talk into Scald. It's worth noting that had I managed to not get a Sleep Talk into a Scald here, I would have been able to potentially kill the Suicune the following turn. since I would survive one more turn of burn, and I was doing enough damage to potentially kill the Suicune. But unfortunately, he does Sleep Talk into Scald right there. So now we just have a 60% chance to flinch. Like, it's just going up and up. And so I'm going to go for the Heart Stamp. I have a 60% chance to flinch him. I actually get a crit, which does a lot of damage. He wakes up, and he doesn't get flinched once. That whole time, I had all those chances to flinch him. 0 flinches. Well, that's all the battles. As you can see, the final rankings right there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little quick sequence of battles. I will try to do a little bit more with it later on, but today I just need to get this out and go to bed. So I hope you guys understand that that's just this week. It's not forever. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time as the TBL continues our Pokemon Grand Prix journey. Take care, everybody.